come half naked. That's a sign of protest, saying that things are not good.
Women share the most amazing thoughts.
When it's close to the time, our people will protest naked.
On national issues.
That was their own point.
That was an accident. That is different.
And they do it.
Politics is about being a servant.
Passionately.
Without a woman, there will be no success at all.
Sharing the adorable word of women.
There are some women who have what it takes.
In politics.
Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady. Where she's too soft, she's too soft.
Only on Core TV News.
Thanks for staying the course. The program is still Core Digest on Core TV News. And you know, today we are discussing something very, very interesting. And it is the rigmarole about fuel subsidy removal. You know, the question is now or later. Because, you know, fuel subsidy dates back to as far back as 1992. And now we have people debating remove subsidy, then remove subsidy. And, you know, as the ordinary Nigerians wonder that what is really, what's up with this subsidy thing? And you know, some people even think that there's something sinister about fuel subsidy. And of course, with the president of Nigeria saying recently that he doesn't even know what subsidy is, that what is fuel subsidy, coming at this time, that's when the thing has actually gone for years. And of course, today I'm joined by oil and gas expert RONKE ONADEKO, who has been on the show earlier. And interestingly, after discussing the issue of subsidy with RONKE was calling for the passing of the PIB. And interestingly, 3 days later, the bill was passed. Like, okay, RONKE predicted rightly. RONKE, good morning. It's nice having you on the show today.
Good morning.
Yes, we're looking at now or later, the rigmarole about fuel subsidy. But before we come on you, RONKE, recently our correspondent went to a seminar about few Nigerians holding a seminar about fuel subsidy. So let's quickly flash back on what they discussed at that seminar before we start our discussion this morning. The issue of fuel subsidy is one that has become the proverbial bull in the china shop for Nigeria. With this in mind, speakers at the seminar gave an account of what they believed can be done to address the issue. First to speak at the event was Henry Boyo, an economist who made an analysis of the current state of affairs and what can be done to ensure that the nation overcome its perennial fuel crisis.
If you believe that Dangote's refinery would add more, maybe it would make supply very accessible, but in terms of price, things may not really change.
Also speaking at the event, Tosin Adeyanju, whose speech was aimed at finding out if the people really have access to the subsidy, disclosed that it is only thing Nigerians get from the federal government. He added that its removal will only exacerbate the already gloomy economy outlook of the nation. Director of the Center for International and Advanced Professional Studies, Anthony Kila, in his contribution, says subsidy should remain until there is a compelling reason for its removal.
For me, I'm an advocate of subsidy should stay because I believe that's the only thing Nigerians enjoy. In terms of social services, it's difficult for us to see what the government really offers.
My stand is that they should leave it until they show us that they have a moral authority to take it. Because if the people saying I'm going to remove fuel subsidy and do something else with it, our people will see as people who are going to use it for their own private interest, then they should leave it, because that's the only thing people have. But if the government can make a case to say, look, this fuel subsidy is unaffordable, and this is what we're going to do with the money, and this is what we're going to do with those people who have stolen the money before, then I'll be with them.
But for Mobolaji Aluko, subsidies should be on commodities that have a direct impact on the lives of the masses.
Somewhere along the other, they have decided to put a subsidy somewhere in which everybody enjoys that subsidy, whether it's in education. When you say education is free, you are subsidizing it somehow. Food is cheap. Somehow it is being subsidized. Fuel is something, it is being subsidized. So let's first get away from whether there should be subsidy or no subsidy. The question is, on what should we have the subsidy and how should it be managed?
This participant, Barbara Udu, told Core TV News that the controversy over fuel subsidy seemed fishy to her.
My take is that I have noticed there's a ghost thing about it. Fuel subsidy, fuel stay is a ghost. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is it's doing for us or the people out there. But I still believe that there's this small number of an elitist group who gain from these things called subsidy. I don't know what it is. But however, we actually cannot blame this many that cannot partake of, talks like this, because a lot of us don't even know. I say us because a larger number of Nigerians don't even know what fuel subsidy means. They don't know how it translates to their everyday. So that's my take. That's what I'm talking about.
As the issue of fuel subsidy lingers, it can only be said that this will be the first major test the present administration will pass through, and Nigerians are hopeful that the government will take the best measures to solve all the situation. RONKE, you saw that report, and like Barbara rightly expressed, some Nigerians think there's something ghosty about fuel subsidy removal. Could you enlighten us what is really about fuel subsidy?
Okay, first and foremost, I have heard a lot of stories and listened to a lot of people talk about fuel subsidy. And the most alarming part of it is that the voices behind the issue are people who know nothing about it, haven't bothered to educate themselves about it, and then they come on to national or international platforms and talk about subsidy not existing or being a ghost. It's a very simple phenomenon. What happens is that because we're in an oil-producing country, as far back as 1973, the government decided to fix a price for fuel so that with the fluctuations and changes in oil prices internationally, Nigerians won't be affected adversely. So when the prices are low, the government saves some money on it. When it's too high, they substitute. And that's how far back subsidizing fuel prices really have been. So subsidy is something that has existed for very many years, over 40 years.
But why should it be removed?
Okay, I will tell you a few things about the fuel subsidy that might enlighten people, or at least put a couple of issues on the table for people to go along with us so people can understand. I think it was earlier this year or late last year that the government reduced petrol prices by 10 naira. So it went from 97 to 87. The question I would like to ask everybody was that, did they see any prices drop? Transportation prices? No. Food prices in the market? No. Nothing dropped. So why do people equate the fact that when prices go up for fuel, things are going to go up? That's a commercial manipulation that people in transportation, people in marketing use. Once the price of oil, of petrol goes up, the bus driver says, okay, I need to move up my price. It is not a direct correlation, or else you would have seen a direct correlation with prices dropping when the price of petrol dropped. So that's one point I want people to understand and think about. The other thing I hear a lot about is, that's this only thing we get from government, the subsidy. Two things that are subsidized are petrol and kerosene. Kerosene is supposed to be sold at 50 naira per litre, and it's heavily subsidized because the actual cost is as much as 70. So it lands in Nigeria at 40 naira 90 kobo. So that's almost subsidizing every litre by 30 naira minimum. I don't know if there's any Nigerian, if they can call in or text us or fax us or whatever, if they've ever bought kerosene at 50 naira anywhere in Nigeria. So where is the money going? It's not going to the Nigerian. So please stop telling the average Nigerian that this is the only thing you're getting. If they were getting kerosene at 50 naira, then I would say they're getting something from the government. But they're not getting it. So let us deal with the issue that the government is providing a subsidy, but it's not getting to Nigerians. So let's cut it out completely. So whoever is stealing it, stop stealing it.
But the question that beats the minds of many Nigerians is that when the president, that is the former President Goodluck Jonathan, talked about subsidy removal, we had a lot of Nigerians take to the streets, say don't remove subsidy. And now the current president is saying let's remove subsidy, and it looks like the All Occupy Nigeria group, Save Nigeria group, has finally consented to, okay, let's remove subsidy. What's really happening? Is it political or something?
I would just put my 2 pence, and this is my personal opinion. When the issue of Occupy Nigeria took place 2 years ago, I think the talk and the attitude and the protests were more about corruption, non-transparency, people didn't understand, and lack of accountability on the part of the government. You say you want to take away subsidy and you're going to make savings of X amount of money. We don't trust you as a government in power right now to save that money and use that money for the good of Nigerians. That was why Nigerians came out en masse, came out and were saying, please don't take it off, because we don't know where it's going to go. However, this is another dispensation. This is a new government. There seems to be a lot of goodwill. There seems to be a lot of trust in this government. There seems to be a lot of understanding that this government are going to be more accountable and more transparent concerning the revenues that we're making and what they're saving and how it is spent. We seem to have this time around a prudent precedent from just, his past actions and the way he's gone about doing things. Nigerians seem to be a bit more comfortable. In the last 2 weeks, we've had a lot of engagements with civil society, with the labor, with marketers, with labor unions, to find out what their feelings are. Even people, some of the people who were part of the Occupy Nigeria, Enough is Enough, Save Nigeria, we've spoken with them over the last 2 weeks to find out what exactly is your feeling or what's your take about concerning subsidy removal. I have to tell you that 90% of Nigerians want the subsidy to go. Unfortunately, in the last 1 month and a half, we've had some really, really serious issues concerning fuel supply. People have spent days at the pump. There was a point almost about a month ago when Nigeria almost shut down. Yeah. I remember one Sunday afternoon, we were listening to the radio and the producer of the show told us that after this show, we're going to shut down because we don't have enough diesel to power the station. Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. If we're going to be...
Isn't that on paper? Is it really true that we're the largest?
It is the largest economy.
Really?
And the fuel supply can bring the largest economy in Africa to its knees. We really need to sit up and begin to look. And why did that happen? The government can't afford to pay the bills. There's $1 billion in debt that the government owes to marketers who have already brought in products, given it to government, sold it on their behalf, and the government can't meet them. There's supposed to be a payment after 45 days. The government is owing for over 8 months in some cases, almost a year in other cases. These people are business people. They want their money back. And they've gone to borrow this money from banks. So the banks are waiting. The businessmen are waiting. Nigerians are waiting for supply.
Well, the question is, why did they distrust the former president? Because he expressed, when he wanted to remove the subsidy at that time, that there were some certain cabals that were not allowing Nigerians enjoy the economy that Nigeria is really buoyant to help the country. And he said that let's remove subsidy and these cabals will be shown. But Nigerians rose up and said, don't remove subsidy. So why now? He sounded sincere and transparent at that time.
At that time, I think the issue lay largely in the fact that the system for supply, transportation and retail and reimbursement of petrol as a product to Nigerians was very inefficient. So people were taking advantages of loopholes that were in place. The responsibility of the government is to tighten and shut down gaps that exist that were being exploited. They did a lot of that. Names were mentioned, companies were called to book, but to date, I don't see that anybody has been prosecuted or anybody's in jail. A lot of money was stolen, there's no doubt about it. But, if you look behind the names of the companies that were taking advantage, they were working hand in hand with the government, or government officials, or government parastatals, or government agencies. You can't do those things on your own. You can't bring in petroleum products, pretend you're putting it in a tank, and it doesn't go into the tank without some official somewhere knowing something about it. So that's not our responsibility. That's the responsibility of the government to find out where the gaps are and block those gaps, and then bring those people to work.
When should subsidy be removed? Because the protest last time, Nigerians said that it was removed, the president was planning to remove it abruptly. And so when should this current administration remove subsidy, now or later? Or is there a particular time when it should decide to remove subsidy?
I personally, there are many routes the government can go through to get this done. There is the way of either leaving things the way they are, not removing subsidy, but tightening all the loopholes and the gaps that exist. However, from what we're hearing, there's no money in the treasury. From 44 billion or trillion that was gained in the excess crude account, I think we have 2 left. So maybe 38 has kind of like disappeared. We can't account for it. So if they only have 2 billion or 2 trillion or however much left there is, then they can't sustain payment of subsidies over a period of time because they're already owing from the past deliveries 1 billion. So if there's only 2 billion left, so that means if they pay another batch now, then there's zero money in the treasury, and civil servants need to get paid, National Assembly members need to get, the executives, the judiciary, the legislature. What are we going to do? So it's not sustainable.
Okay.
So we don't have the money to keep things going status quo. So we have to look at another alternative. The other alternative is take it off slowly. I would use an analogy of having a sore on your hand and you have plaster.
Okay.
Have you ever tried to remove the plaster slowly and you're feeling the pain over a period of time, or it's always best to just yank it off once and for all, feel the pain and then move on? I think pull it off completely once and for all. Yes, there will be price fluctuations. Commercial buses and transportation and marketing and retail of food products will go up initially. But you know how Nigerians are. We adjust. Even those prices will come down and balance out. I'll give you an example, just to bring it into terms that people can understand.
Okay.
You go, bottled water, the water that goes into a dispenser went up from maybe 500 naira to 650 naira just because there was fuel scarcity. And they said, well, they're having distribution price increases. When they found out that, instead of selling 100 bottles a day, when the price went up, they were only selling 20. Everybody adjusted and brought it down to a price where their market will continue. People will test the market and say, oh, this is an opportunity for me to push my prices up. When they see that the market isn't moving and people aren't purchasing as much as before, they will adjust. So Nigerians just need to be patient and go through that short period of time whereby we fix this new pricing based on what the market or international market price of petrol is. Then maybe all the exportation or smuggling of our fuel out of Nigeria, if everything is the same thing, whether you are in Niger or in Cotonou, then there'll be no incentive for people to steal the fuel and take it across the borders. So there's so many things the government can do. That's one way of doing it. Take it off completely. And then they might want to do it in stages. Right now we use a template, the PPPRA template. The PPPRA is the Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Authority. They are the ones that fix a price that the marketers use to bring in the petroleum products. What happens is that when you bring in the products, if your selling price at the pump is 87 naira, maybe the actual cost is plus 40 naira.
Okay.
So maybe it's about 125 naira if there was no subsidy. I think over the past few months, I think people have bought petrol for 200 naira per litre. But meanwhile, if there's no subsidy, it won't be more than like 130 naira per litre. So why don't we just face the 130 naira and make sure nobody is stealing money, no cabal is making money, we're all suffering. But it would be nice to see that the government too suffers, not just the Nigerians. So they should sell all their planes, they should reduce their own salaries, so that all Nigerians suffer. So that the government will feel the pain Nigerians are going through. And then we all start from the bottom and begin to grow and build this nation from the ground up together.
All right. Now, the fears that Nigerians will express is that how long can they afford this, especially looking at the Nigerian economy where most companies run on diesel and petrol. And removing the subsidy means that people would have to buy fuel at the original price. That's a lot for business owners in Nigeria with the fluctuating power. So,
most of us are powering diesel generators. Diesel is deregulated. Okay. Everybody had that fear when diesel was going to be deregulated that, the cabal are going to take it over and they're going to put prices where people can't afford it. We've been buying diesel and diesel is readily available. I don't think anybody goes anywhere now to look for diesel and they say it's scarce. It's available. Anybody can bring in diesel into the country.
During the last scarcity, companies be affected by...
The reason why that happened was that they shut down all the depots. So in the depots, they had diesel and petrol, but so that people won't be smuggling petrol out, they shut it down completely. So you couldn't move any product. That was not because diesel was not available. It was, but it was just a way to systemically control supply of petroleum products and get the government to take cognizance of the fact that you're owing your marketers money. Marketers are owing depot owners, they're owing banks, they're owing the tanker drivers who'll be moving this fuel about.
The president said that if subsidies removed, the money will be transferred to the education sector. Why not? Don't you think that's not really solving the problem. He didn't say anything about transferring to the electricity sector so that when there's regular light, people do not feel the crunch of bearing the cost of buying petrol at the original price.
I'm not an expert on government budgetary allocations and things. I think what the government need to do first and foremost is to come out with a very robust communications plan. Start engaging stakeholders, the unions, the citizens, people in the different sectors, the chambers of commerce, across board. Go across the country and talk to people and find out what do they want. Don't sit in Abuja in your office and decide that Nigerians want a bill for their children at school. Find out what they want. More than anything else, I think Nigerians want an enabling environment so they can set up a business, run their business successfully without being overtaxed. State will tax you, local government will tax you, task force will tax you. When you take your car, they'll say you have a radio inside, they want to tax. Those are the things that Nigerians have a problem with. There's so many things the government can do to relieve us. So if they stop all of those overtaxing, Nigerians will save money that they can use to substitute the money they've lost on their petrol. So there's so many ways you can compensate Nigerians. More than anything else, from my own engagement with different classes of people, people want to see that the government is working on a lean budget. They're willing to give away their subsidy, but they need to see that the government is punished as well. So this one, the National Assembly people are buying, using house allowance and clothing allowance, and we need to see that they understand that everybody in Nigeria is going through a difficult period, and they should be a part of it as well.
All right, as Nigerians really want to move on, and like you talked about, we adjusting easily. With the crisis going on in the National Assembly, with senators not even getting themselves rightly, how would Nigerians suffer if the subsidy is removed and the senators are not in good accord?
Well, I think we need to remember that these people are elected officers. We put them there. As Nigerians, we need to start to speak up. In the papers last week or 2 weeks ago, I read that Senegal recalled their entire National Assembly and told them they don't want any more. They're too expensive. If you're going there to represent us and we are hungry and you guys are feeding fat, you know what? We don't want any National Assembly. Let's have regional governments whereby we tell our local people what we want and that gets done. So it's very hard to recall a representative, but it's not impossible. If one constituency calls back their senator and members of House of Rep, I'm sure the others will sit up.
All right, you expressed hope in this administration, saying that Buhari has a good track record, but that's not to stop that there are some sectors who would not make the federal government function well if he has good intentions. What makes you so optimistic about this administration of making life a lot more easier for Nigerians if subsidy is being removed?
I don't think life is going to become a lot easier for Nigerians when subsidy gets removed. I'll use the analogy of the Lekki Link Bridge. The Lagos state government put a bridge across from Lekki to Ikoyi, and it was for a jeep it was going to be 300 naira, for a car it was going to be 150 naira. When this news came out, Lagosians were like, it's not possible. Why do we have to pay so much? So I remember the discussions we had at that time. Some people said they're not going to use that bridge, that there's no way they can come up with 300 naira going and coming on a daily basis. So they're going to go the longer route through the Lekki Expressway and use the cheaper one, which was 100 naira going, 100 naira coming. Then some people said, okay, because there's pressure in the morning to get to work on time, they will use it going, but they won't use it coming. These days, the traffic to get onto the bridge, you adjust. Maybe that extra airtime you buy a week, you decide to put it aside or reduce your 5,000 recharge card to 250 recharge card just so you can have it because of the convenience. If Nigerians are better taken care of in other areas, they'll be willing to adapt to the new system whereby fuel is slightly more cheaper. For example, if somebody called me to come to a funeral in Ondo, and I think of how much I'm going to use to fuel my car, maybe I'll just take half of that fuel cost and put it in an envelope and give the person saying that, my dear friend, I can't make it. You adjust. You find ways to cut cost, to balance out your accounts, because salaries aren't going to go up. Maybe eventually some offices will see that, okay, I need to up it a little bit, but if you're engaging your staff and your staff are more efficient, your business is working better, it's more predictable, maybe companies will be willing to do that. So there's so many ways to skin this cat called subsidy. The major issue is that, one, we cannot afford to continue paying it. Two, we don't have money in the treasury. And so the government has to find a second way out. 3, Nigerians are responsible enough to know and understand that this government that we voted for, we voted them in. This was the first time in Nigeria's history where a sitting government was voted out. That was because Nigerians wanted change. These are the changes we're going to have to make to get the rewards that we want. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be that once they remove the subsidy, we suddenly get a better life. It's going to take time, but we all need to be on the same page and work towards it.
Now that the NLC is denying, endorsing subsidy removal, don't you think they're saying something sinister about its removal?
Well, I will be honest with you. The Labour are the only ones that I spoke to that are still telling us that, you know what, we're not saying don't remove the subsidy, but we want all the refineries working before the government removes the subsidy.
How realistic is that?
I'll explain a little thing about refining for those who don't know much about it. A refinery is a little engine that you put your crude oil into and you get some petroleum products at the end of it. This includes gas, LPG, petrol, kerosene, diesel, fuel oils, naphtha, and tar that you use to tar the road. Those are the kind of things you get after refining. If a refinery is working optimally, now that crude oil is $60 per barrel or thereabout, you put your $60 worth of crude oil into this engine and you get a lot of products, including kerosene in adequate quantity, petrol in adequate quantity, and all the other byproducts. However, when a refinery is not working optimally, what you find out is that you put the same $60 crude into this refinery engine, and you come out with low-grade products, a lot of fuel oil, a lot of naphtha, a lot of base oils, and tar, which, one, doesn't solve our problem for need for petrol, doesn't give us the kerosene we want. So at the end of the day, you've used your $60 barrel of crude oil, you've gotten petroleum products that are not helping your deficit, and the products you've got left are not worth $60. So at some point in time, the government thought, well, we might as well sell the crude oil at $60 and collect our $60 cash, and then use part of the $60 to buy petrol and kerosene. And that's why the country started importing. So NLC saying make those refineries work. Those refineries are not at optimal capacity. So we will get those refineries working, quote unquote, like NNPC has told us by July or August, but we will not be getting sufficient kerosene, we will not be getting sufficient petrol, and we still will be at the point where we're still importing. So we need to use a little bit of common sense. We want working refineries that are giving us the products we need, not just working refineries that are not giving us the right products.
But how long would Nigerians have to import until this problem has been solved?
There are two ways to look at the solution. Continue importing, remove the subsidy, but let businessmen import and make their money independent of government. Once Nigerian businessmen see that subsidy has been removed, there would be a drive towards people investing in the downstream sector. You will see it being more attractive for people to want to set up refineries, for banks to want to bankroll such projects. But if there's still the subsidy, no bank, local or international, will finance the refinery, a refinery in Nigeria, because you cannot see how they will make their money at the end of such a venture. So it's important that the government understand that if we want to see droves of people investing in the downstream sector, which includes refining capacity, transportation capacity, building of pipelines, building of strategic storages for storage of the product, the only thing that would attract people to invest in that area is the removal of subsidy. So if that's what the government say they want to do, then it's time for them to let go of the subsidy.
All right. Thank you, Ronke. Right now, we want to take a quick break on the program. Do well to join us after the break, and we'll give you more on the topic of discussion now and later, the rigmarole about fuel subsidies. Stay tuned.
That's a sign of protest, saying that things are not good.
Women share the most amazing thoughts
When it's close to the time, our people will protest
on national issues.
That was their own point.
That was an accident. That is different.
And they do it
Politics is about being a servant.
passionately,
Without a woman, there will be no success at all.
sharing the adorable word of women
There are some women who have what it takes.
in politics.
Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady. When she's too soft, she's too soft.
Only on Core TV News.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
As news breaks, people don't let events pass without giving their comment or reactions.
When the problem arises in society, these are the people that should be consulted.
To cleanse the corruption in society, we are not to provide information for good life and also security of life and property in this country.
The academic society have the loudest voice on this platform.
Whether you call it a sovereign national conference or a national conference, it is about the people of Nigeria.
There should be a change in power.
In any way they can do it.
I think there's a script already.
Every Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. on this station. From the Ivory Tower, a must-watch for the learning minds.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.
You're still watching Core Digest on Core TV News, and like we've been discussing earlier, now or later, the rigmarole about fuel subsidy. And you know, interesting, the guest on the show is really campaigning that fuel subsidy should be removed. But you viewing us on the show today, of course, you have your own opinion. Do you think subsidy should stay? Do you think it should be removed? Feel free to contribute on the show by dialing the numbers showing on your screen, as your views are actually very important. And you know, the show is about setting the agenda for what government should do. So if you have very strong points why subsidy should not be removed, feel free to call in and we'll be happy to take your contribution. Now, RONKE, a lot of Nigerians will say that subsidy is the biggest fraud history we have in Nigeria. But some will say that's just been exaggerating. How is subsidy the biggest fraud in the history of Nigeria? Because of course, beyond the Jonathan administration, subsidy has been on. So do you think they're exaggerating to say that?
Subsidy, yes, you could say that.
All right, RONKE, let's pick this call before you give your comment. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello? Okay, I guess. Okay, you were saying?
Okay, I'm not going to say that the system of subsidy has been, clean or hasn't exploited Nigeria and Nigerians. Before the Occupy Nigeria 2 years ago, I mean, the bleeding from that system was tremendous. People were bringing in all kinds of quality of products into the country. Sometimes they weren't even delivering, and they were collecting subsidy on products that were never delivered. So the country was bleeding. In some cases, they would put the product into a tank and siphon the product back out again and reproduce it over and over again, something they call round tripping. So there were ways that the government was losing funds from that. Sometimes there was no supply at all, and there would be documents saying that, there was some supply. In some other cases, people were exaggerating the quantity that they had put in tank. So the value of the subsidy they were receiving from government went beyond what they should have been receiving. So yes, Occupy Nigeria and the standoff at that time did cause Nigeria to look a bit deeper into the operations and the efficiency, and some of the gaps were blocked. The unfortunate thing is that nobody was persecuted and jailed.
Which comes me to the fact that if nobody has been persecuted and jailed at this time, and the way Nigerians see change is that, okay, if the president believes so much in the gospel of change, these people are still in the Nigerian system.
I believe that
what makes it different?
I believe that one of the ways that the government can show their seriousness and that change has actually been effected is by going back to some of those probes and reprobing that system. I think it's important that Nigerians feel justified for the time, the effort, and the pain they went through over that period to make sure something came out of it and that it didn't just go to waste. So that's one of the things that this current administration should do. I think it's going to be over... how would I put this now? It would be too much to say that they should focus all on catching people, going back. There's work to do. There's a lot of work to do. And it's more important for Nigerians, for the government to look forward. But I think going backwards, one or two of those things need to be addressed so that Nigerians actually really understand that this government is different from the past government and that they have the goodwill and the wherewithal of Nigerians at the, at the core of their heart.
All right. Why do you think the establishment of private refineries is stalling? Because, of course, this issue has been discussed over the years. And like you said, if there are private refineries, things would be a lot more better. Why do you think they're stalling at this time?
About 4 years ago, a group with NNPC at the core decided to build 3 new refineries. It was called the Greenfield Refinery Project. And international and local banks came together, experts of all sorts came together, all kinds of engineering designs and projections were put in place. But the only snag was when it came time to finance this very laudable project. There was going to be 1 refinery in Lagos, another one in Bayelsa, and 1 in Kogi State, I believe. There were going to be 3. None of the banks found the project bankable because of the subsidy issue. Because when you finance a plant like this, it's extremely expensive. It's going to take a long time to recoup your money. So you want to recoup your money as quickly as possible. But if you're relying on the government to fund part of the sales of your product through subsidies, it's not sustainable. We would get into this kind of situation where we're in, where the government is broke and cannot pay. And no bank is going to fund a project where they cannot see the returns that are going to pay for the cost of the project and the interest on the funds that they have borrowed. So that's how that went down. But I can tell you that in 6 months, if the government removes the subsidy, you're going to find tremendous amount of opportunities opening up where people want to set up private refineries, because they will be bankable projects at that time.
So why of course, the transition committee that handed over to President Buhari said that subsidy should be removed, but they said that it should recoup the 4 refineries. Why didn't they see having private refineries as part of the solutions? Why resuscitate the 4 refineries which have been dormant for years now?
Well, the 4 refineries altogether are producing less than 20% of what we need as a country. So even if all 4 refineries were working perfectly, full stream, and giving us the right products, it still will not satisfy the consumption and the need for petrol and kerosene in this country. Because those refineries were built as far back as maybe 20 years ago. The population in Nigeria has grown. Our appetite for petroleum products have grown, for kerosene has grown. We have more cars on the streets, we have more drivers on the street. The use of petroleum products, kerosene is actually used to mix with tar to do the roads. The paint industry uses kerosene. So the use of kerosene has gone beyond putting it in your lantern and putting it in your gas, your kerosene cooker. So we need to start thinking beyond the 4 refineries that we have. We need to build refining capacity in Nigeria, way beyond what we have at the moment. So even having those fixed, if we could fix them perfectly, it's still not enough. We still need private refineries in the system.
All right. Now let's look at the president trying to unbundle the NNPC, and now his focus is really more on the NNPC. Now, the president probing them at this time, don't you think it would drag the progress work that he wants them to actually see, as subsidy removal is being on the very front burner in the nation's policy now?
Subsidy removal has nothing to do with NNPC's unbundling. If you unbundle NNPC, it's so that other areas of the oil and gas chain can be opened up to private enterprise. Meanwhile, subsidy removal, the president of Nigeria has the legal right to tell PPPRA to put in place a template that's equivalent to the cost, actual cost of petroleum products, whereby there is no payment from the government to subsidize the cost of importation. That can happen overnight if that's what the president wants. There is no legislature that stops him from doing that. And there's nothing within NNPC that says that cannot happen. So the unbundling of NNPC is independent of that happening. So really, Mr. President could give all of us a new breather and tell us that, you know what, after 6 weeks, we're going to go through a campaign, we're going to educate you, we're going to give you an idea of how much the cost of fuel would be. As at 2 or 3 weeks ago when I did some calculations, I think the additional cost was about 40 naira, over and above what we're paying by the pump price today. More than anything else, the price of petroleum landing in Nigeria has more to do with foreign exchange than the international price of crude oil. Because some people think, oh, now since the crude oil price has dropped, the price of petrol too should have dropped. Unfortunately, the Nigeria devalued the naira almost at the same time that crude prices dropped. Yeah. So it was a double whammy. We lost in terms of crude prices and lost in terms of foreign exchange. So that's why we didn't see any marked difference. If foreign exchange dollar to a naira went back to 120 naira to a dollar today, the pump price for petrol without subsidy would be about 60 naira at the pump. So if the government can work on the foreign exchange rates, that might help a lot. It would help Nigerians. I'm not sure that we can get it back to 120, but at 200 plus, if we could even get it back to 160, we would be paying exactly how much we're paying right now at the pumps without subsidy.
Oh, interesting. And so for those who are saying that the petroleum is the only thing that the common man has to do from the Nigerian post, are you saying that they should look away from that? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying categorically, if anybody has bought kerosene for 50 naira, then you're benefiting. If you're not buying kerosene for 50 naira, you're not benefiting. If you're able to drive into a filling station and have your car filled with premium petrol at 87 naira every time you want, without the risk of scarcity or long queues or bad fuel or buying from black market, if you're not getting all of those benefits, then you're not getting what the government promised or what the labor is telling you have, because that's what you're supposed to be getting.
All right, thank you, RONKE. Let's just quickly take another break and we'll be right back on Core Digest. Stay tuned, please.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station. You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.
Well, it's still the rigmarole about fuel subsidy in Nigeria, and of course, you're looking at removal of fuel subsidy now or later. And I'm still in the studio joined with my wonderful guest, the oil and gas sector, RONKE ONADEKO, who has been really campaigning for the removal of fuel subsidy and how it would help the country's economy. But you know, RONKE, one thing that bothers a lot of Nigeria is the importing of this fuel. How can we be the largest producer of oil and still import oil? A lot of Nigerians ask, why do we have to continue importing this product? Of course, you raise fears about the refineries not being able to produce as much as what we need, but really take us through the process of importing this product. But before you do that, let's take this call. Okay. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, please tell us your name and where you're calling from, please.
Mohammed Lawal from Calgary, from Kaduna.
Okay, Mohammed from Kaduna.
Yeah.
All right, please go ahead with your question or contribution.
Okay. Yes. Okay. To me first, what is subsidy? What is the meaning of that subsidy? That's number one.
Okay.
And secondly, the last administration removed the subsidy, which we debated for. We come out massively to protest that the subsidy shouldn't be removed. Later on, we heard that they said the subsidy, okay, governments are paying half, and we, the masses, we are paying half. And finally, later on, we now heard that they said the money got missed.
Okay. All right, so that's your question, right?
So I think for me, the subsidy should be removed because now yes.
Okay. So you feel it should be removed? Okay. Thank you. That was Mohammed's view. It should be removed. So RONKE, take us through the process of importing this product.
Because there's a deficit in our production, and there has been a deficit for a very long time, our refineries are not able to produce as much as we want, and it's not producing the right kind of products. So it's the impetus of the government to bridge that difference and bring in products. What happens usually is PPPRA is the government agency that determines how much fuel we need in the country. So what they do is on a quarterly basis, they come up with a volume of maybe 35 million liters per day over this period of time. So we need so many cargoes over the 3 months or 4 months or however many months. And then what they do is they give NNPC some to import. So NNPC has a share that it imports. Major marketers have a share they import, and then the independents also get a share. So there's a split based on...
Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, good morning. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from, please. Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Okay, Kinsley from Enugu. Okay, so go ahead with your contribution. All right, so go ahead with your contribution. Okay, go ahead. Okay, could you reduce the volume of your TV set? Christopher, I can't hear you. Could you reduce the volume of your TV set? Christopher, are you there?
I think he wants to know if...
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead now. I can.
Okay. I said, does that mean that Nigeria can't put our refineries in place?
Okay. Do you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Your question will be answered.
Does that mean that you don't have okay.
Okay. Thank you, Christopher. Thanks for calling. All right. So.
Well, he wanted to know if we couldn't fix our refineries. Our refineries have gone through, in the last government, at least 6 turnaround maintenance experiences, and we didn't get anything better than we had before. So the government is pouring in millions of dollars into fixing and turning around and maintaining these refineries that are not improving. So we might as well conserve the money we're wasting. It's like going to service your car. You take a car to a mechanic. All the problems that you had before you went to the mechanic, you've paid the mechanic, and your car comes back and your car is exactly where it was before. And then you repeat this exercise every 6 months or every 1 year. After a while, it's time to dump the car. Either buy a new car or sell the car to somebody who is better at fixing the car. So we are advocating that those refineries get privatized. Look for somebody who thinks they know how to handle those kind of problems, because the government is not the best person. We've given them many opportunities to fix that refinery, and it still hasn't gone. They said there's another turnaround maintenance going on right now, and that's why they tell us that by July or August, the refineries will be working 80% capacity. I say Nigerians, hold on to that. Come August, if they cannot show you factually that these refineries have been turned around and that kerosene is coming out of that refinery, petrol is coming out of that refinery, we should hold NNPC to ransom on that one. The MD of NNPC should be fired.
All right. That's a strong one, Ronke.
Oh,
Hello.
yes, it is.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, please tell us your name and where you're calling from, please.
Yes, my name is Muhammad Lawan from Katina.
Okay, Muhammad Lawan from Castina. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, Madam RONKE, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yes, my suggestion is, supposing new refineries are built, like digitalized, the ones we have, you are defining them as analog and inefficient. Supposing we have new refineries built, can they perform sufficiently for the nation demand? And then the subsidy can be removed if we can have that.
Okay.
Yes, that is my suggestion.
Thank you very much.
That is digitalized.
If we get new refineries,
Can satisfy the country's demand.
All right.
That would be better. Yes.
Thank you very much, Lawan, for calling.
okay, I'll just answer that question very quickly. The refineries we have in Nigeria now, obviously, the capacity is less than what we need. The Dangote Group are in the process of building their own refineries, who will take up some of the deficit we have. It's still not enough. So yes, the more refineries we have, the better. And even if we get more refineries than we need, Nigeria can be the hub for the continent, whereby we even start to export to other neighboring countries.
And so that's a new business
That's
angle.
an entirely new business. It's a generator of foreign exchange for the country. So yes, I'm totally for. However, the issue is, I don't think it's in the place of government to be the ones building the new refineries. Government is not good at managing things. If government builds more refineries, the refineries will become cost centers. They will be taking money from the budget every year. Money that should be deployed into education, into healthcare, into infrastructure.
Other caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Okay. Okay, I think it's...
So I think it's important that we understand that, yes, we do need to build refining capacity in Nigeria, but I think it's best in the hands of private sector as opposed to the government.
Well, for business minds, they want to see what's in it for me by building a refinery. How lucrative is it to have a refinery and dole out oil, especially when we're looking at the fact that for the product to be available or affordable for the average Nigerian, if I try to build a refinery, how lucrative is that for me?
For the average Nigerian who might look into the area of developing a refinery, it's not something that Joe on the street who owns a big supermarket would think as an opportunity. We have Nigerians that have oil fields that are producing crude oil. Instead of exporting their crude oil as a raw material, they can refine it locally and export, use part of it locally and export internationally. That means you've added value to your crude, and you go beyond earning $60 per barrel to maybe earning $80 per barrel. So there is a lot of opportunities for people who are already in the sector, people who are in the upstream sector who are already refining who are already producing crude oil. Then there's an entire market for gas, which combined with what they're doing could even bring more revenue. So definitely there are benefits for, businessmen in this sector.
Okay. Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, please tell us your name and where you're calling from. And could you please a little bit louder because I can hardly hear you.
Okay.
Okay. So your name, where you're calling from, please. You are what? I didn't get that. Okay, Festus from Benue State.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead with your question or contribution.
So I want to ask if hello.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm here.
Okay. I want to ask if building more refineries will not help. If the government decides to building more refineries will not help Nigeria or the government of the day. What about the private people? Like somebody like that, they say, who's going to build a refinery. So if those private people will begin to exploit Nigeria.
Okay.
So, when the government build a refinery, it will help the country.
Okay.
It will help the government of the day.
All right. Thank you.
I don't support the idea of the private sector owning the refinery. They will exploit Nigeria. They will just come up one day and say they will put their price and this is what they will sell because it's owned by the government cannot regulate the price. So I want the lady in the house to please explain to us the meaning of this whatever this fluid.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Your question will be rightly answered. Thank you for calling.
Okay, I get what he's talking about.
Yes, raising his fears that the private sector
will hijack the whole petroleum products market, and that it would be a situation where they can fix prices, and instead of it being maybe the landed cost out of the refinery is 120 naira, what if they now just move it to 200 and they form another cabal, and then they start extorting from Nigeria? That is why we have DPR, Department of Petroleum Resources. They will continue to exist and they will continue to become price regulators. Everybody knows what crude oil prices are internationally and in Nigeria. Every day there is a price fix that tells you crude oil price all over the world internationally today is $60 per barrel. The government will work with the people who have refineries to make sure that they're only allowed a markup of X amount. So they're not allowed to arbitrarily jump from 110 naira to 200 naira and extort things from that. There is a regulatory function of the government. So whether government owned or privately owned, all of them will be subjected to the same regulatory authority that would curtail and make sure that they're not exploiting Nigerians.
All right, RONKE, as we round off, how can you assail the fears of marketers, banks and government agencies, especially as we move into looking at fuel subsidy removal?
Well, all the different stakeholders who are the international traders, the local marketers, the shipping companies, the banks, all the people that support this industry, all have a business role to play. So it's always good when the government sets an agenda, sticks with the agenda, and makes it very transparent so that everybody knows what is supposed to work. You don't want a situation where the government says that when you bring in petroleum products for the government, we're going to pay you in 45 days, and then your 45 days becomes 90 days, and 180 days, and 360 days, and you still haven't gotten paid. It affects the entire business. And what happens with this sort of things is that when a marketer is not getting his money as at when due, there's always the temptation to do something illegal to breach the financial gap. Because by 75 days from our calculation, you lose your profit. After 75 days, if the government has not paid you, you've started eroding your profit margin. So by 120 days, you've lost your margins completely. But as a businessman, you have to show that you're doing a profitable business. That's what pushes people to doing funny things by overstating the volume, wanting to extract money from the government and things like that. So the government needs to be very clear, very precise, transparent and accountable, and meet the obligations that went due.
If you were to predict or if you were to make a decision, when is the best time to remove fuel subsidy?
Yesterday was the best time to remove the subsidy. Yesterday. So I'm imploring the president and everybody around him and everybody who has any influence whatsoever, let's do this. You know what? We can do this for 6 months. Let's try it for 6 months. Let's put a caveat. Let the government say they're going to do a trial run. Let's see where we are in 6 months' time. If it's not working, if it's really bad, then the government can intervene. But let's give it a shot.
Now,
we've given subsidy a shot. Let's give no subsidy a shot and see how that feels for Nigerians.
Okay. If the government removes fuel subsidy, where should they focus on? Or, of course, as Nigerians are waiting for them to actually, even if it couldn't be the best situation, but what should government do as soon as subsidy is being removed?
I would think the first thing that the government could do that would be really appreciated by all Nigerians is to cut the cost of governance in Nigeria tremendously. National Assembly, legislatures, across board, state, federal, local government, everybody should go on a downgrade on their salaries and their expenses. And of course, I hear that the president is thinking of shrinking the number of ministries. So I think we should work on a very lean budget. Nigeria doesn't have the kind of money we used to have. And the economics of oil pricing and funding our budget is telling us the same. So we need to be prudent. We need to be frugal.
All right. Thank you so very much,
Thank
RONKE,
you very much for having me.
And like RONKE said, yesterday should have been the time subsidy should have been removed. And of course, the callers actually expressed fears of marketers extorting the country. But she said there's a regulatory agency who could correct this. And so if subsidy is removed, and one thing she stated clearly is that let's give it a try. We've tried subsidy, let's try a removal. So, well, I think Nigerians, for the adventurous people we are, let's give this a try, according to RONKE, and let's see where we get to as Nigerians. Thanks for watching. Thanks for staying tuned on the show. The program is called Digest, so do well to join us tomorrow for something interesting, exciting, and of course educating. Thanks for watching. My name remains Omotayo Alo. Bye for now.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.